Hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I have a gap in my filming schedule, hence the birth of this reading vlog. I'm going to be traveling a little bit later in the month. I wanted to make sure that you guys would have enough content and that I would have enough time to edit and post the content and give you something more or less deserving of your attention. No, that would be deserving of your attention. And I think that we're just going to talk about where I've been in the last week or so with my reading and what I have encountered. And then today we're going to be heading to the Hudson War Memorial Library for the last day of their library sale. So hopefully I'll be able to get you guys some footage. I might not be able to talk while I'm there, but I'll try and take some footage and maybe we'll do a voiceover. So that is kind of the plan. And if I can get to the pet store where they have that big shelf of leave a book, take a book, I'm going to try and leave some books behind as well as see if they have any books since last Sunday that have come in that are interesting. So that's going to be the kind of plan for today. Not exactly sure how long this video is going to be, but since I'm on my second cup of coffee, which is, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's like pretty full. It's like right near the top. I'm going to put it down and I want to show you guys just a couple of books that I've been reading this week. June has in general been a better month so far than May. In May, I had 7 DNFs, I think. Actually, today is June 7th as I'm filming. And by this time last month, I'd already had 3 DNFs, which is not great, but June has been so far much better. I've never shown you guys this before on camera, maybe once or twice, but I do have my reading journal here, which if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments and we could do a walkthrough at some point. So if that's something that you want to see the inside of, let me know down in the comments and maybe I'll film with the overhead camera for you, which I have. I don't know if you guys can see, it's like hanging right over here on the wall. That's the arm for the overhead camera. So I could set it up, but it'll take some time. So it's June 7th and I've completed 4 books so far this month, which I think is pretty good. There's only 1 DNF and that was a library read. And that was The Fourth Consort, which I think was a book that Danny of Danny Dabbles had suggested in one of her videos. So I just want to give the credit out to her. But in the end, I don't know, I just wasn't jiving with the book. So I ended up DNFing that at 190 pages. I honestly can't remember why I DNF'd it. I guess I just wasn't really interested in what was happening, or things weren't happening at a quick enough pace plot-wise for me to retain interest in what was going on. Because as you know, if it's a big character study and I can see that character is developing, I'm good for a slow burn, as long as I can see that there's progress. But I wasn't really seeing with The Fourth Consort that there was any kind of progress. And I don't really know, but at that point, at 190 pages in, I decided to put the book down and return it to the library. And I think that what I retain the most is just like a really big sense of relief. So that was The Fourth Consort, not for me. So that was the only DNF so far this month, which is pretty good because I don't feel like too much of my time was wasted and I'm getting better at handling the whole DNF situation. So the other thing I wanted to mention is, now you guys know if you've been here before, you guys are probably aware that I don't tend to do monthly TBRs because I have a lot of trouble sticking to them. And because June is Pride Month, I really wanted to kind of up my Pride reading, if you could call it that. So I definitely wanted to read novels that were written by LGBTQ+ authors or that centered around queer characters. So I did read Charlotte Bond's The Fireborn Blade, which we'll talk about more when we do the monthly wrap up in June. And I wanted to show you guys what I'm currently reading. The first one that I'm reading right now is Nicked. And this is a library read and it's from M.T. Anderson, who is an author that I've never heard about before, but as I understand is an author that writes primarily for younger audiences. So for kids or for young adults. I think this author has about 50 or so books already published, and this is the first novel for adults. It is an adult debut, and I am liking it, but I'm not sure why, because it's very kind of religion-centered. It actually has to do with the theft of the bones of St. Nicholas, but of course it's given a magical realism sort of fantastical type of spin, which is really fun, and also it's supposed to have queer elements, but I haven't gotten to that part necessarily yet in the book. I'm about 100 pages away from the end. I'm on page 112 and there's about 215 pages in it. So if there's going to be some sort of a romance or relationship or queer element that is going to come to the forefront, it should be at some point soon because we're about halfway through the book right now. So, but I'm really liking this one, and it did have that queer tag on it when I looked it up on Goodreads. So because I'm trying to read a lot of queer themed stuff for the month of June in support of Pride Month, this one ended up on the list, and it's good. It's a good book. I'm having a nice time. I also have a copy of Winter's Orbit, whose picture I'll put up on the screen because I don't have it with me right now. That's a book that I'm going to be taking with me when I go on vacation. And that book is supposed to be like a queer sci-fi romance. So again, I'm trying a romance, you guys. I know it doesn't always work for me, but maybe because it's queer and maybe because it's a sci-fi, I might find that it's holding my interest a little bit more and that it's a little less cringy. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So I'll let you guys know how I do with that one. I'm actually really happy because my library has the sequel to this book, both in print and in audio format. So if I do like this book, but I don't like it enough to go ahead and spend the money on it, then I can save a little bit of money by taking it out of the library. But I have to see how it ends. Like, I don't want to jump the gun on it because, you know, the ending of the book makes such a difference as to whether or not you want to continue with the second one. And I don't know if the ending of this book is going to end on a cliffhanger. Probably not, because it is billed as a romance. So I don't know. Generally, romances will have a happy ending and everybody's going to get together. And maybe the second one in this series, I don't know if it's a series, maybe it centers around a different couple. I don't really know because I'm going into it kind of blind. I picked this book up at a bargain table. I think it was like 3 for $10 at the bookstore. And I don't really know anything about it aside from the fact that it's a queer romance set in like a sci-fi environment. I want to say it's set in space, but I could be wrong. So that's a book that I'm hoping to get to this month, or that I will get to this month, because it's one of the 2 books I'm going to be taking with me when I go out of town for 5 days. And I'm also going to have my Kindle, and there's also the option of audiobooks as well. So I think I'm going to be set for the 5 days that I'm going to be out of town, but I will be taking 2 print books with me. The other one, not a queer book. I'm not reading only queer books this month. Like, I've read The Housemaid and I finished The Man Who Sold Air in the Holy Land. So I'm not reading only queer books this month, but I'm trying to read them as much as possible. So the last queer themed print book, which I think I'm going to be able to finish this month, at least I hope I'm going to be able to finish it this month, is Awakened. And this is by A.E. Osworth. A.E. Osworth. Okay. So do you guys remember a few videos ago when I showed you guys like an all the books you haven't seen video? I think I showed you this one. This one is a trans author, I think, who writes about trans characters in this witchy sci-fi trans-centric novel with this like awesome cover. I picked up this book at Librairie Clio where they had that 2 for $10. They liquidate like modern recent books 2 for $10 whenever they do their inventory. I've spoken to you guys about that before. And I remember showing you that there was like a little ding on the cover over here, but actually there's way more. Like, I think this book was actually cut into when they opened the box that they received the books and stuff. So the dust jacket is a little damaged on this one, but that's not what's kind of niggling at me. And I wanted to talk to you guys about this as well. So I don't know if you can tell, but I started annotating this book and I am 117 pages in right now. So here's the thing. I am actually having a little bit of trouble with the prose of this book, and I'll tell you why. Maybe it's because I'm a product of my generation. I'm still 43 at this point, but just to give you an idea about my age, in case you guys are sort of struggling with the same thing. And I'm saying this, you know, don't come at me. Like, I'm not trying to be canceled. Clearly, I'm very much an ally, but I am having trouble with the prose because you have the main character, the protagonist, Walder, and then you have the coven that Walder becomes a part of as a plot point in this novel. And when the author uses the pronoun they, I never know if the author is referring to Walder or if they're referring to the group, because there's a lot of group scenarios. Whereas if they say they stood up, I don't know if they're referring to the whole group of people standing up or just to Walder themselves. So it's a little confusing for me for a book that's already being read at a slower pace because I'm annotating it. And then sometimes when I read at my natural gait and my natural reading speed, and then I'm like, wait, I don't know what's happening. This is confusing. It's actually the pronouns that are confusing me. So then I have to stop, I have to go back, and I have to reread again. So that is a little difficult for me, but that I don't think is the book's fault. I think that that's just me, and I might just be a product of 40 years of reading with standard pronouns, and it's almost like learning another language. So it's not a commentary on whether or not people can choose pronouns. I just want to be very clear on that. It's just that when I'm reading this book, it's something about the way it's written where I can't tell the difference when the author is trying to refer to the main protagonist. I can't tell the difference between when the author is referring to the main protagonist as the they, them, or when the author is referring to the group as the they, them. And that I feel like if it's a challenge for me, it could be a challenge for other readers too. So I'm going to get through this book by the end of June. So that's pretty much where we are now in terms of my reads. I did also take advantage of a book outlet sale, which I don't know if I want to open right now on camera because it is really early in the morning. And I think if you guys want to see what's in this box, you should leave me a comment down below and let me know that you want to see a book outlet haul video. And I will do that for you because they were having their $7.99 fiction sale. And I had some things sitting around in my cart and I had decided, no, Zahava, you have too many books. You're not going to buy books. You're not going to buy any more books. We are going to go to a book sale later this morning, but that's completely beside the point. I said to myself, it's too easy just to click on a button and buy books and have books delivered to your home. And you know what? 2 hours later, they sent me an email saying, our $7.99 fiction sale is back on. And I'm like, okay, you're done. And I bought the books, including the sequel to The Fireborn Blade by Charlotte Bond, because that's that little novella. So yeah, I have this box right here. There are 7 books in it, but maybe what we'll do is maybe when I go to the book library sale later, if I find anything and I come back and I show you what I found, then maybe we'll do that unboxing a little bit later together. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just trying to find reasons for you guys to comment on the videos because it really helps me to be seen and get this channel discovered. So, you know, it helps when you guys do that. Even if you're just leaving like little emojis and stuff, it does help and it's free for you. Okay, so enough of that. And I will see you guys a little bit later when hopefully I will not forget to get you some footage of where I am and what I'm doing.
One eternity later.
So I'm standing in front of an IKEA bookshelf right here, and all of these books are part of a Take a Book, Leave a Book program. So anything that they have here is actually for free. So I did take a quick look at some of the books over here, like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which I already have a copy of. Snow Falling on Cedars. It's kind of the type of book that you see at a lot of thrift stores and stuff, but it's not a book that I would read. So I'm going to take some time to go through this. I saw this one from Paul Tremblay, but I'm not really interested in it because, I don't know, it's like a mass market paperback size, and you guys know that I really like to read trade paperbacks. So I'm going to go through a couple of these. And then over here, they have a whole section of books that are new that they sell as well. So you have some over here, and then you have some over here, which are more like recent titles. And then they have all these great cat and dog toys, because it is a pet store after all. So here they have a copy of Chain Letter by Christopher Pike. So I think that I read this when I was really young. They had this one the last time that I was here. This is a copy of The Best Kind of People. That's a book that I left behind last week, but I'm gonna see if they have anything new. Okay, so that store was kind of a bust. I didn't end up actually finding anything there, so we're gonna head now to the library and I'll see if I can get you some footage there. Depends how many people there are. If there's a lot of people and I really need to look through everything, maybe what I'll do is grab my books and then do a second pass around to give you guys some footage. But otherwise, I'm just gonna go to the library and see if there's anything else. So we'll see you in a bit. again. So it's a couple of days later and I'm just gonna start wrapping up this vlog. I want to show you guys what I picked up at the Hudson War Memorial Library sale, and then show you guys also a couple of books that I picked up from my local library. Little anecdote I want to share with you guys about that as well. And also, I got my hair colored, so yay for me. No more white hairs for you guys to see on camera. This is a real thing. We age, you know, we age. Okay, so I am going to show you what I picked up first at the Hudson War Memorial Library sale. So they actually had 3 copies of this book that I'm about to show you. 2 of them were in trade paperback format, but I managed to snag the 1 hard copy, and that is The White Tiger. Now, this is a book that I feel like I've heard being spoken about. It's a little bit older. As you can see, it won a prize in 2008. But like I said, I've seen this book kind of floating around lately in my vortex, I guess you could say. It's just sort of coming back around. Maybe it's getting a resurgence in popularity. I'm not exactly sure, but I picked this one up going in kind of blind, don't know anything about it, and I hope it's going to be good. Let me know if you guys have read this one. Secondly, at the library sale, I picked up my very first Christopher Moore. So this is You Suck. It is the 2nd book in a series, and I figured that's perfectly fine because I have been wanting to pick up some Christopher Moore. It's an author I've never tried before, and I looked in my library, and my library happened to have the other books in the series, so I was really excited, and I went to go and pick up book number 1 at my local library. And then I went and posted up my library haul on my Instagram page, which, if you guys didn't know, I have a very baby Instagram page. If you guys want to follow me there, you can. The link for that will be down below. And why that's especially fun is because I do have some viewers following me on Instagram, one of whom commented that the book I had picked up from the library was actually number 3 in this series and not number 1, which I thought it was. So this is all to say that if you do follow me on Instagram and you leave comments on my posts, probably I'm going to respond to you and listen to what you have to say. So I do want to thank Angela for pointing out that that I had not taken out the right one in this series. So I was able to return that one to the library and put a hold on the first one. So we'll wait for that hold to come in, and then I have this second one, and then I can always take out the 3rd one from the library as well. So I did not do my research like I should have been doing properly on that series, but I digress. I want to show you guys the other books that I picked up at the library at the same time. So you know how I was saying that I wanted to be reading some queer books because it's Pride Month. So as it turns out, the other book that I had put on hold at the library, The Last Gifts of the Universe, is also a queer book by a queer author, which I had no idea. I had heard this book being spoken about, and quite frankly, I had wanted to read it just based on the cover. And I was really surprised to find that the font point is so big. Like, I think it's got a 12 font point, and it's reading, I mean, I'm not too far into it. I'm only in like chapter 4 right now, but I'm hoping to be able to finish this book today, latest tomorrow, depending on the things that I have going on. You know, it's Monday right now, so we'll see what I can do. But this is also just happens to be a queer book, which is a bonus because it wasn't on my roster and I had no idea. Then from the library, I just picked up, I guess, a handful, you could call it, of novellas. So I want to show you guys what those are. And these are in no particular order. They're just some titles because basically this is what I do, okay? You can call me crazy if you want to, but I will sometimes browse the shelves of the library and I will look at the book thickness. And if it looks like a thin book or a novella, I'll be like, yeah, I'll pick that up. I have time. So I'll pull it off the shelf. I'll read the inside flap. I'll check the page count. And if I think that it's a low-hanging fruit, I'm going to take that home. And again, I say this to you as my little trick to keep myself feeling accomplished in my reading goals. So I have 4 novellas that I want to show you. The first one here is Roadhouse. This is by Arcady Martin. Don't know this author. Again, it was just a question of I saw this book and it didn't look very thick, and I took it home from the library for that reason. So I'll read you guys what it's about in case you guys want to go check this one out. So it says, all of Basit Denyo's houses were haunted. Rose House, his final architectural triumph, built in the remote Mojave Desert, was perhaps the most. A house embedded with an artificial intelligence is a common thing, but a house that is an artificial intelligence infused in every crevice and corner with a thinking creature that is not human, that's something else altogether. That is Rose House. When Detective Maritza Smith gets a call from Rose House, she's shocked to learn that there's a dead body inside its sealed up walls. Everyone in town knows it's haunted, but Basit died more than a year ago, and everyone also knows that his former protege, Dr. Celine Gissel, is permitted inside. But Celine wasn't in the country when Rose House called in the death. Who is the dead body? How did they get in? And who or what killed them? The answers lie within the labyrinthine halls of Rose House. But even if Maritza can get inside, there's no guarantee she will ever be able to leave. So this one here, if you guys are looking for something short, is coming in at 115 pages. So I think that the premise sounds really good. I'm hoping the writing's going to be good, and that is going to be the first of the 4 novellas. The second one that I'm going to show you guys, it's maybe a little more popular, so I won't go into it, but this one here is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. I'll give you the page count. It is 90 pages. If I look at the font point, I want to say that it might be YA, but it was in the adult section of the library, and I've never read Okorafor before. I only have just the one used book that I picked up at a used book sale a couple of months ago, and I haven't gotten around to it yet, but this one would probably be a really good entry point. So I have this one. It's a sci-fi. Then I have The Library of Unrequited Love. So again, a title I've never heard about from an author that I don't know, so I'm going in completely blind to this one, but I want to let you guys know at least the page count and what it's about. So this is coming in at under 100 pages, and it reads, one morning, a librarian finds a reader who has been locked in overnight. She begins to talk to him, a one-way conversation full of sharp insight and quiet outrage. As she rails against snobbish senior colleagues, an ungrateful and ignorant public, the strictures of the Dewey Decimal System, and the sinister expansionist conspiracies of the books themselves, two sentiments will prevail: her unrequited passion for a researcher named Martin, and an ardent and absolute love for the arts. A delightful diversion for the discerning bookworm. And this is The Library of Unrequited Love, which I love for a couple of reasons, because book about books, library setting, it's giving Party Girl a little bit. So I'm thinking of that. You know, I have Party Girl on the brain. And also Unrequited Love. So when I was in university, I actually wrote a paper on the sonnets of Sir Philip Sidney, which are mostly based on unrequited love. And I've had a few experiences of unrequited love myself. I say a few, but I think like my major one, just if you guys want to know a little embarrassing fact about me, is I had a crush on this guy from like elementary school that lasted into my first marriage. So it was something like a 20+ year crush. And I don't even think that the guy in question knew that I was alive on this planet. So unrequited love is definitely something that is near and dear to my own heart. And I would love to see how it's handled in a novel, you know. So there's this one. And then the last one that I picked up, which was kind of a surprise to me because I did not know that this person was also an author. And this is The Reservoir by David Duchovny, who I'm assuming is the actor David Duchovny. And I did not know that he was an author. So this one here is here he is. Here he is right on the back. I don't know why I didn't see that on the back of the book before. So it's early. Okay, because I had picked this book up in the library. I just opened it up, looked at the inside flap to read what it was about, and I didn't even give a second glance to the back of the book, where I would have obviously seen his picture on the cover. But let's move on from that super embarrassing moment that I'm going to totally leave on camera for you guys, and I'll tell you what this book is about. So it says, The Reservoir follows an unexceptionable man in an exceptional time. We see our present-day pandemic world and New York City through the eyes of a former Wall Street veteran, Ridley, as he looks back upon his life in his enforced quarantine solitude, wondering what it all means and who he really is. Sitting and brooding night after night, gazing out his huge picture window above the Central Park Reservoir, Ridley spots a flashing light in an apartment across the park, as if a lonely quarantined person is signaling him in Morse code. His determination to find out who this mystery woman is leads him on an epic quest that will ultimately tempt him with either delusional madness or the fulfillment of his own mythic fate. We accompany Ridley as he leaves the safety of his apartment window to save the Fifth Avenue femme fatale and descends into a dangerous, increasingly surreal world of global conspiracies, madness, and sickness of this viral time. As Ridley's actions grow more and more uncharacteristic, he realizes the key to all the mysteries of now, and even all of history, seem to lie deep beneath the freezing waters of the reservoir. The Reservoir is a twisted rom-com for our distanced time when the merest touch could kill and conspiracy theories propagate like viruses, a contemporary union of Death in Venice, Rear Window, and The Plague. So I've never read Death in Venice. I've never read Rear Window. I've never read The Plague. I am going into this book completely blind, you guys. I've never read David Duchovny before, and it's, you know, I didn't even look up the ratings on Goodreads for this one. It was purely, I was at the library, I wanted some low-hanging fruit. I just sort of glazed my eyes over the stacks of books, and I said to myself, okay, this one is not too thick. I can probably accomplish that, and that's pretty much the reason that it came home. So for the page count, it is 128 pages. So that is the little library novella stack, which I'm hoping to get to all of these books in June. And I think it's going to bring us to the end of today's video. I guess you guys probably don't want to see what's in the book outlet box. So I guess I'll just have to wait until somebody leaves a comment and tells me that they want to see the books, because I really want to show them to you. I really, really do. So with that, I want to thank you again so much for coming to hang out with me today and for talking books with me and leaving your comments and all that down below. Please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see more content like this, and I will see you again in the next video. Ciao for now.